Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. The WWE Draft comes to a close on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, and it was highlighted by a couple of really great matchups and a really cool thing that happened. But the WWE Draft this year had a couple of big changes, if you want to call them that, but it didn't serve to do all that much because the WWE Creatives team lack of originality, and fear of doing anything new or different continues to thrive and continues to be what moves this show forward, only serving to prove that the more things change, the more they are going to stay the same in the WWE. And we are going to talk about all of that and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. You are watching our review of the WWE Draft right here on Sledgehammer TV's Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. It's time to bring the hammer down. Let's do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
You know, much like it went down on Friday, there were a couple of high-quality wrestling matches that were really great to watch tonight on Monday Night Raw, which is a sentence that I haven't said in maybe years on this show. The match quality, for the most part, there were a couple of atrocities as come to be expected on Raw, but the match quality in a couple of high-profile matches was really great tonight. Case in point, the triple threat match, and also the tag team match I thought was really good for the tag team championships tonight. The only thing was, none of it really means anything, because the WWE has this habit when it comes down to draft season that the winners will win on their new show, sending the losers to the other show, and nothing that happened tonight really matters. Nothing's really going to stick outside of anything that was brand specific that was booked tonight. But overall, the draft is what we are all here to talk about, and the biggest move of the night obviously came in the first pick of the first round, as the Fiend found himself moved from SmackDown to Monday Night Raw, which was not a surprise to many of us. We expected that to be the case. They killed the Fiend on SmackDown. He's got no momentum over there. There's nothing more for him to do over there, so I expected this to be the case. You also knew if the Fiend was coming, you knew Alexa Bliss was coming. I thought it was kind of stupid to waste them in two separate picks. They are obviously a package deal over the course of the last couple of weeks. You put Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler together. You kept them together as a package deal. You kept the Sushi Bar together, Cesaro and Shinsuke. You kept them together as a deal, but Bray and Alexa had to be two separate picks. I thought that was a little bit of a waste because you knew Alexa was coming to Raw as well. And the coolest moment of the night was thanks to both of those individuals. Alexa Bliss continues to be doing some of the best stuff she's ever done. I don't know where she's pulling from to be this possessed, twisted Bliss variety of herself to complement the Fiend the way she does. Tonight they attacked Zelina Vega and Andrade, who, as I'm aware of at this moment, have still gone undrafted, which I think is a travesty. But I could be wrong. I might have missed the tweet. It was so unimportant that they weren't drafted on TV as far as I know. But they got their asses kicked by the Fiend and Alexa Bliss tonight as they made their presence on Monday Night Raw felt immediately, and it was the best moment of the whole entire night. The matchups, like I said, were pretty good, but the draft was not. This draft was full of names that made no sense. The biggest thing, my biggest problem with the draft, the biggest reason to bring the hammer down on it, would be, why would you draft Retribution? If you were either show, why would you draft this team? Why would you draft them as your first pick in the third round? Over guys like Keith Lee. Over guys like Cesaro and Shinsuke. Over the Intercontinental Champion. Do you realize Retribution went in this draft before the Intercontinental Champion? You guys don't see anything wrong with that? Even Sheamus You picked Retribution before you picked Sheamus McSpeakeasy. It's just ridiculous that they would even be considered in this. This is the one group that's wanted nothing to do with this show. They wanted nothing to do with the WWE. They signed contracts to cause chaos on Monday Night Raw, and then Raw openly says, you know what, we're going to keep them, we're going to draft them. Maybe if we draft them number 1 in the 3rd round, maybe T-Bag won't come and T-Bag us in the creative room anymore. What's the logic there? I can't figure it out. Maybe one of you guys can explain it to me. Braun Strowman's on Monday Night Raw. Did you feel any impact on that pick? Braun Strowman's been on Monday Night Raw. He's been wrestling in the Raw dumping ground with Yabba Dabba over there. So there's no impact to any of these moves. Just like there was no impact when they told us Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke were coming to Monday Night Raw. They were already on Raw. And we've been subjected to so many brand invitationals and wild card rules over the last year that I don't even really know where anybody was to start this thing, if you catch what I'm trying to say. It's just been a mishmash of just a total disrespect of the brand split. Are they even going to stick with it? We had Seth Rollins drafted on Friday to SmackDown. He was on Raw tonight. We got Jeff Hardy drafted to Monday Night Raw tonight. He's going to SmackDown on Friday to say goodbye. Why has everybody got to say goodbye to their brains? Why? There's nobody even in the audience. Who are you going to say goodbye to? A bunch of screens? You give a little speech because of your short amount of time on SmackDown? Who cares? He's going to say goodbye with a match with Lars Sullivan. And what has Seth Rollins got on the inside? Who's his inside man giving him the information? Even Tom Phillips didn't know that Jeff Hardy was going to have a match on SmackDown, but Seth Rollins dropped the bomb. Oh, you're going to have a match with Lars Sullivan on SmackDown Friday. What kind of nonsensical shit writing is this? How does Seth Rollins know this? Is he psychic now? Is that part of his whole Messiah thing? He could see into the future? Or did Adam Pearce tell him about it? Did Vince McMahon even know about this match? Did Seth book this on the fly in that promo? I don't understand. It's very confusing, just like a majority of the picks here. Like Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair hasn't been around. Why is she being drafted in the 1st round? Why is she being drafted before Alexa Bliss? Don't you think Alexa Bliss should have been there? It should have been The Fiend, Randy Orton, Alexa Bliss, round 1. But no, we gotta put Charlotte in there because, without Charlotte, Vince McMahon can't pop off, I guess. I don't understand it. I really don't. SmackDown finally got around to drafting their women's champion. They finally found it important enough to draft Bayley in the number 1 spot on SmackDown in the 1st round. And then these idiots did the one thing I told you guys on Friday I hope that they didn't do. We all gave them way too much credit. We gave them the benefit of the doubt. We said, okay, they gave the New Day the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and now they've sent the New Day to Monday Night Raw. And we sat here all excited. We were like, oh, please, Mr. McMahon, please do the right thing. Maybe this is the plan, and they're going to unify the championships, and all will be set right because there's only about 2 tag teams on each brand, and none of it makes sense, and please make it make sense, and please do the right thing. And we all sat here for the last 3 days like this. Well, at least I did. I don't know about you. But I was praying for this. I was optimistic. That's something we're not usually doing on this channel, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I said they got to be doing this in order to unify the championships. I didn't think they were going to be stupid enough to draft the Street Profits with the Raw Tag Team Championships to SmackDown before any of this was settled. So before the end of the 1st round, I was already aggravated by the fact that Charlotte Flair was in the 1st round and that the Street Profits, the Raw Tag Team Champions, were now being sent to SmackDown. So for a brief amount of time, we were all sitting here like, well, what's going to happen? I thought maybe even still that before the end of the night they were going to unify the 2 titles and the winning team will keep the belts on their brand and then will defend the titles across all brands or do something unique and something that could save the tag team division as a whole. But they didn't do that. They just decided to have them switch belts. It was a trade. It was an even trade. Just, hey, I'll take your belts. You take my belts. We'll just hand them over. Okay, you never won the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, but here you are. You never won the Raw Tag Team Championships, but we'll give you ours because, we're switching brands, so we'll just switch. Does that feel satisfying to you as a wrestling fan? What if you're looking up? What if you want to show your son in the future, or your daughter, or whoever it is in your life, a niece, a nephew, a grandson, you want to go back in history and show them the lineage of the WWE Tag Team Championships? You probably would want to skip this decade altogether from 2010 to 2020. Is probably not your proudest moment as a wrestling fan, especially when it comes to tag teams in the WWE. But how are you going to explain this? How are you going to explain it? It's asinine. It's lazy. It's stupid. It's stupid. All to have a little laugh riot moment so that the New Day could do their world hip motion and the Street Profits could do it with them and they could all be there in solidarity and be this big giant comedy act in 2 different tag team divisions. I don't know why I kept the dance going that whole time, getting amped up talking about it, and I want to maybe punch somebody. It's coming off like a dance, but I think it's more aggressive, hammering, because it just makes me so angry. We were this close. We were this close, guys. This close. But as I said at the beginning, their fear of doing anything new or different or logical rears its ugly head. Their lack of creativity and ability to have fun with the product. Having fun with wrestling is not making bad comedy gags. Having fun in wrestling is not giving us a Miz TV segment that lasts 2 whole segments long. Almost 30 minutes of Miz TV. That's not funny. Your brand of comedy isn't funny. I don't want funny, I want fun. I want meaningful. And the tag team division definitely is not that. Neither is the women's division on paper. If you look at it, it's just a big fat mess. Everything here is a mess. Round 2. Let's go down to round 2. Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, and Jeff Hardy all moved to Monday Night Raw. So Jeff Hardy was moved away from Sami Zayn in the Intercontinental Championship, but he was sent where AJ Styles is. Continuing on from that, later on in the evening, we would learn Elias would come back. So Jeff Hardy was moved from SmackDown to Raw, not to do anything new and cool and interesting. It's to pick up on where they left off with him, with Elias, before Elias was injured and run over by a car. So they're not doing anything new. They're falling back on old shit that they never finished, that wasn't that interesting to begin with. On the SmackDown side in round 2, Daniel Bryan, who hasn't been on TV in months. Is he still coming back to wrestle? I have heard nothing or have seen nothing of Daniel Bryan in months. Why is he in the draft? Why is he going so high in the draft? Why is he going above a Kevin Owens or the Intercontinental Champion? Why? I didn't even know he was slated to come back. It's just odd to me. It's like they were just hungry for star power. They want to say these names like Charlotte Flair and Daniel Bryan, even though they're not around. I don't have a problem with Daniel Bryan. I love Daniel Bryan, but him being in this draft, him not being around for weeks and months at a time, does it matter? Wouldn't it have been better after the draft to have Daniel Bryan show up unexpectedly on an episode of SmackDown and declare, no, I'm loyal to SmackDown? You know, surprise, interest, intrigue, creativity. No, none of those things. Oh, right, we're talking WWE here. Round 3 kicked off with Retribution. Interestingly enough, Retribution, Retardribution, whatever you want to call him tonight, Failtribution, didn't even show up for the draft tonight. They had nothing to say. They had this really great incident last week where Ali gave a really good promo that kind of got people intrigued into this faction for the first time since its inception, and you follow it up with a big fat nothing. Nothing. But them being drafted by a show that they want to destroy, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, Raw picks up all of Trash Retribution. They pick up Keith Lee in the third round and Alexa Bliss. SmackDown in round 3 grabs Lars Sullivan and King Corbin. You want to talk about a round that fails. This is one right here. Lars Sullivan took him a whole 24 hours before his name got thrown around in more controversy. Who even knows how long he's going to be around? He's just like Matt Riddle. He's got all this personal life bullshit going on that could affect his status. And then SmackDown picking Constable King Dickhead. Did it really matter where he went? If he went back to Monday Night Raw, could Raw be even worse than it is? Raw picked up a lot of trash tonight in the draft. What would have been one more piece? But he's staying put to kill SmackDown, to kill at least one segment. Now, between him and Seth Rollins, there's legitimately a whole hour of SmackDown I probably don't need to watch. The fourth round, we had Elias after his return. He was drafted first in the fourth round by Monday Night Raw, followed by Lacey Evans and Sheamus. So, bam, bam, I'm going to Raw now. Bam, bam, mothballs. Smell it, smell it. What a waste. And then in round 4 for SmackDown, Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, and the Sushi Bar, who came as a package deal. Why Cesaro couldn't have been drafted singularly, or Shinsuke Nakamura for that matter, I don't know. They're, I guess, one of the only 3 remaining tag teams, so it would have been silly to separate them, right? They broke up every other tag team there is, so why break them up as well? In the 5th round, Monday Night Raw kicks it off with Nikki Cross, follows it up with R-Truth, and then Yabba Dabba Dabba Doo Kato. And SmackDown picks Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode as a duo, which I was hoping wasn't going to happen either because I hate Ziggler and Roode as a team, although they did perform very well tonight in the tag team matchup with the New Day. I just didn't want to see them together anymore. Like I said, the more things change, the more they're staying the same. They're not as much changing superstars from shows, but they're taking whole entire ideas and whole entire storylines and just moving them from one show to another, which is pointless because the whole point of shaking things up is to change things up, and you didn't do that here. Apollo Crews also going back to SmackDown after I feel like he's never really left SmackDown, even though he's been on Raw with the Hurt Business the last, 6-7 months? Didn't this all begin on SmackDown somehow? I don't know. I've lost track. The last 2 rounds are practically worthless, and there's one very controversial name on these 2 worthless rounds, and that is not... Monday Night Raw picks in the 6th round Titus O'Neil, Peyton Royce, and Akira Tozawa. And then SmackDown counters with Carmella and Aleister Black, effectively making him the very last pick televised on the night and going to SmackDown. Shows you just what they think of this guy. I mean, they gave him a whole gimmick change. Since they've done that, he's done nothing but lose to Kevin Owens, and now he's practically the last pick in the 2020 draft. But wait, there's more. If you thought that was a useless round, you didn't hear about the bonus round that took place on Raw Talk, the useless Raw Talk show that airs immediately following Raw on Mondays that nobody watches. But thankfully I checked my social media before I hit record, and I'm able to tell you that in round number 7, the all-important untelevised round, Raw picked up Lana, and we'll get to Lana in a minute, Riddick Moss, and Arturo Ruas. Talk about worthless. And SmackDown follows it up with Natalya and the Riot Squad as a duo going over to the Blue Brand. Now, Natalya being pretty much a played out superstar and a tired act at this point aside, this was only good because up until this moment, I believe SmackDown only had 4 women at the conclusion of the televised draft. So this at least put 4 more ladies or 3 more ladies in that division of, I think, 7, possibly 8. If I'm miscounting here or there, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty sure that kind of evened out, at least number-wise, for the women on SmackDown. And all in all, this draft can easily be summed up as underwhelming. They did really nothing that important. No big moves. Even if we go back to night 1, no heavyweight championships changed. Nothing like that happened. Everybody pretty much went where we thought. We had a few interesting moves, but nothing that we didn't already kind of see coming. We all knew AJ Styles was going to go to Monday Night Raw to get away from Paul Heyman. We all had a feeling that The Fiend was coming to Monday Night Raw. The only big surprise really in this whole entire draft was the return of Lars Sullivan. And thankfully we could thank our lucky stars that we didn't see the return of an Eva Marie that all the little dirt sheets and all you little other shows that you watch all wanted to talk about. Oh, huge spoilers for the draft tonight. Eva Marie's coming. Everybody get ready to be mad. I don't fall for that shit. I believe it when I see it, and thankfully we didn't see that. That's the only other good thing coming away from this episode of Monday Night Raw. I'm not really happy with it at the end of the day. Like, the biggest thing that they did really was what they tried to do with the tag team championships, but then they concluded it with something completely uninteresting and ridiculous. The rest of the show, outside of the draft, wasn't all that great. It kicked off with your typical Randy Orton promo, followed by your Drew McIntyre response, which then led to a brawl into the back. And then Orton barely got out of Drew McIntyre's grip, ran away, and that was it. That's how we started off the show. Then we had Aleister Black versus Kevin Owens in a no DQ match, which was not nearly as good as Sheamus and Big E's Falls Count Anywhere match from Friday night. But it was fun at certain moments, and it was finished with a pop-up powerbomb through the table as Kevin Owens picks up the win here for a second time in back-to-back matches with Aleister Black. How can you build somebody up when all you have him do is losing? The announce team wanted to play up that he's twisted like Bray Wyatt. He's twisted like The Fiend. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's worthless right now. Like a Titus O'Neil. And that's a shame for a guy that had so much potential. Then we had round 2 of the draft. Then we went to a double dose of Miz TV with their usual really bad dad jokes, but this was an extended edition. At first it featured guests Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, who had a new Team Titantron and a new team theme song. This is what they deem important enough for new music and a new package. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. Whatever. At least they did something, I guess. I don't know. But this was a waste of time. Just a segment to promote the nonsensical dual brand Women's Battle Royal, which ended up being a debacle before the end of the night. And also to book a match between Lana and Natty and Mandy and Dana. Another rematch for us to sit through, which was absolutely a waste of time. They then went to commercial after all of this and came back to The Miz and Morrison still sitting in the ring, and I thought I was in a nightmare. And this segment continued with more terrible, corny-ass comedy, especially when John Morrison was speaking, only for Lars Sullivan to come out and beat them down. Well, beat Morrison down because The Miz hightailed it out of there and left his buddy high and dry to take the freak accident from Lars Sullivan. The one thing that this segment had over Lars Sullivan's segment on Friday was that Tom Phillips was not constantly screaming the word freak in my ear like Michael Cole. So props to you, Tom Phillips. Then we had the Profits and the New Day do their whole title exchange in the back because Adam Pearce told them to do so, and I thought that was just a complete and total waste of time. Seth Rollins came to say goodbye, like anybody gave a shit, and he was interrupted by Jeff Hardy, who was just recently drafted to Monday Night Raw, saying he's going to be the new face. And then AJ Styles comes out, complete with his old Jeff Hardy dialogue. You know, you're a drunk and this and that. Are you sober enough to walk? All the same old tired shit that he used to get on SmackDown. Of course, we're going to bring everything over to Monday Night Raw. Only to end up with a triple threat match. Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy. Think about that match for a second. You're talking, that is the main event pay-per-view matchup anywhere in the world. For a championship, for a number one contendership, for a Money in the Bank, those three guys in one match, fantastic. Now this would have been better if there was actually something on the line, like a shot at their brand's respective title, regardless where they ended up by the end of the night. Or maybe the winning brand gets an extra draft pick. You know, have fun. Be creative. Do something different. But no, none of the matches tonight had any real weight to them, except for the championship match, which we all know wasn't going to really change hands anyway. AJ Styles wins this matchup thanks to the interference of Elias out of nowhere, knocks out Jeff Hardy by smashing him in the back of the head with a guitar, which really, they framed it very well because you didn't see Elias coming at all. It really was an out of nowhere shot, and I'll give them props on that. This match was really very good, but they killed it with the DQ finish. They got themselves out of the corner that they booked themselves into with such a high profile match by dumping the debut of Elias on top of it. We then had round 4 of the draft, and we went on to Dana and Mandy versus Lana and Natty. Again, this was a terrible match. Terrible to watch. With a weird double team finish by Brooke and Rose, and it didn't connect at all. She missed completely. But then Lana eats the pin again, loses the match for her team. Natty then decides to tell her that she's really stupid, and then turns on Lana, leaving her crying in the ring, or better, more accurately, pretending to cry, you know, trying her best to act, but that wasn't even going so well. This was an interesting piece of business that ended up taking a turn that I didn't really enjoy. Ricochet challenged the Hurt Business tonight, but he put something on the line. He put himself on the line. He put himself out there. He said if Ricochet wins, he wants the Hurt Business to back off. Leave him alone. This is settled and done. But if Ricochet loses, he'll join the squad for good. I thought this was a great way to make one of these matches mean something. I actually thought Ricochet was going to lose. He won, but the way he won really made him look kind of silly. We'll talk about that in a second. They gave us a match between Andrade and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega on commentary because they just can't come up with anything new in this company. They have to keep their acts together. They won't try anything different. Garza gets a pretty quick win over Andrade, but as we mentioned at the top of the show, that was not the story. Because as Andrade was laying in the ring and Garza was leaving celebrating, Zelina Vega was in there checking over on him, and she was talking a little bit of shit about Alexa Bliss while she was on commentary, by the way, which may have prompted this little surprise attack by Alexa and the Fiend. As the arena went dark, the red lights came up, Alexa Bliss was hanging upside down in the corner like Bray Wyatt used to do back in the day, like the Fiend does, I guess, now. Scared the snot out of Zelina Vega, who, as she was backing up, revealed that the Fiend was also in the ring as well. They gave Andrade and Vega dueling Sister Abigail's, and Alexa Bliss nailed it to perfection. I am completely invested in this duo. They really do, I mean, for lack of a better term, and everybody's probably using the analogy, they really do have like a Joker Harley Quinn vibe going on, and regardless what the plan is for the future, Hopefully it doesn't get too stupid and campy and cartoony and weird. But I'm in. I'm in on this one. 2 hammers up for Alexa Bliss and The Fiend. We're not bringing the hammer down on them just yet, but we're keeping a close eye. Doing some of the best stuff they've ever done in something that I didn't think had the possibility of being nearly as good. So shame on me for not giving them any credit, but man, are they pulling it off so far, at least in my opinion. Round 5 of the draft, and then we had the Tag Team Championship match, The New Day versus Rude and Ziggler. This was a very, very good match for a tag team matchup. I was surprisingly into this match, and I actually was hoping that Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler would win, which is, I know that sounds kind of crazy to you guys, right? Because we never want Dolph Ziggler to win anything anyway, but it would sort of, in kayfabe anyway, force the WWE into a position where now both tag team championship belts are on the same show. What are we going to do? It's almost like if they would have done that, it would have made them seem somewhat brilliant. Because yes, they tried to make us think they were pulling the usual shenanigans, only for at the end of the night, they're still to be the issue, and they would be forced to do what we all want them to do and unify the championships. But that certainly was not the case. The New Day wins this banger of a tag team matchup. And I can't believe I'm even saying that about a match involving Dolph. But listen, you got to give credit where it's due. It was a good match. Too bad it really didn't do anything. All it did was give the New Day a win on their new show and see Ziggler and Rude on their asses on their way out the door as they go to the other brand. We had a skit in the back with Elias as he reminds everybody he's back for revenge on Jeff Hardy because Jeff Hardy supposedly ran him over with a car, even though we know it wasn't Jeff Hardy or whatever the case may be. He's coming back. He's got a target on the Enigma's back. We'll see. You know what? I don't care. I would have much rather them just hit the restart with Elias. He's already threatening me with a concert. Next week, he's going to be back on Raw. He's going to be sitting in the ring. He's going to be doing the same old fucking thing. And apparently he's got a new album coming out October 26th. I don't know. And I'm not really sure if I care. If he starts singing songs about how Jeff Hardy is an addict and Jeff Hardy is a drunk again, then we're just going down the same street. And I'm not interested. They followed this up with Cedric versus Ricochet, which was going fine. Once again, this was an entertaining matchup until the finish. And I know he was paying tribute to Eddie Guerrero. I get it. But Ricochet fakes getting hit with a steel chair, drops to the floor, pretends to be knocked out. The referee falls forward, calls for the disqualification. Cedric loses due to these shenanigans, and apparently Ricochet is done doing business with the Hurt Business from this moment on. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case. They're going to be pissed off that he cheated, unless, since it was sort of a heel thing to do, maybe he's going to join with them anyway. I don't know. If he was going to win, I would have rather him just win straight out, squash the beef, finish the business, and move on. If you're not going to move him to SmackDown, you could have at least done that. But they didn't. He won in this weird way, and now we still have to wait and see if that agreement holds, or if they're going to continue to jump Ricochet for his tenure on Raw, and the more things change, the more they stay the same. The main event tonight was this women's battle royal. Some of you might be waiting for me to blow a gasket about this battle royal, but the fact is I just don't care. I don't care, and you shouldn't care either, because they don't care. They don't care. You know how I know they don't care? Because they have a women's battle royal that is dual branded for a shot against the Raw Women's Champion, not against the brand's respective champion. Whoever wins, no matter what show she's on, can get a shot at Raw's champion. Right there, you're already messing things up. You're already leaving the door open for you to screw with the brand split before the brand split's even been reshuffled and completed. I don't understand the purpose of this Battle Royal, especially when you factor in who they chose to win this Battle Royal. Lana has been put through a table 4 out of the last 5 weeks by Nia Jax. But tonight, due to some bullshit shenanigans, she wins this Battle Royal. And I don't understand why that is. This Battle Royal contained talent like Shayna Baszler, talents like Ruby Riott, women like Bianca Belair, Mandy Rose. All of these women who deservedly so, or rightly so, should be in a championship match with Asuka. Giving it to Lana in this situation is almost exactly the same as if Eva Marie showed up and won this Battle Royal out of nowhere. Just look at the Final Four of this matchup. The Final Four was the Riot Squad, Ruby and Liv, Natalya, and bam, Lacey Evans. Now, thankfully, Lacey Evans didn't win this thing, but it's really not that much better with Lana. It's kind of the same, really. And all of this, what, as a reward for all of the abuse they've been putting her through? And what is she going to get? A match with Asuka where she might get her jaw broken wide open? I don't understand it. How do you put Lana over Bianca Belair? I know Bianca Belair moved to SmackDown, but it just doesn't make sense. Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, they're both on Raw. Naomi's on Raw. Peyton Royce is on Raw. She's supposed to be getting some big push. This would have been a great spot to do that. You brought Mandy Rose in. This would have been a great spot to separate her from the pack, but instead you got her in a tag team with Dana Botch. Meaningless. With her eyes on the women's tag team titles, like they're ever going to beat Baszler and Jax. Lana wins this friggin' Battle Royal after she was crying in the middle of the ring in the middle of this show. And then Drew and Randy Orton, I guess, have been fighting all night long because all of a sudden they're brawling again. They never changed their outfits. They're still dressed the way they were dressed at the start of the show. Apparently these guys have been brawling for 3 hours and the cameras only just caught up with them at the end of the show. And then the show goes off the air. And that was night number 2 of the 2020 draft. A complete and total waste of time. No meaning behind anything. Shuffling the deck. But at the same time, keeping the deck exactly the same. I don't know how you do that. That's their true talent. They tell you everything's going to be different. They tell you everything's going to change. They tell you they're listening to the fans. They tell you all the things you want to hear. And then they set everything up to be exactly the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Thank you guys so much for joining me. The draft is finally over. I guess maybe we could look forward to new things, but don't get your hopes up because everything is set to be the same old song and dance over and over and over again. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team as always. Each and every one of you, and now it's time for you to do your part. Smash that like button if you enjoyed today's show in any way, shape, or form. If I made you laugh, if I made you cry, if I made you understand why the 2020 draft is a big waste of time, smash that thumbs up. Bring your hammers down on it right now, and then you can bring the hammer down on the share button. Share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, and if you are not I don't know why you wouldn't be by now. If you're sitting here watching me at 40 minutes, you should already be a subscriber. And if you're not, now would be the time to smash that subscribe button. Join the Sledgehammer family, the Sledgehammer army. I am growing here at Sledgehammer TV, that one member at a time, slowly but surely, slow and steady wins the race. And we ain't out of the race. And soon enough, we are going to be among the #1 channels in all of YouTube. And it's all thanks to you. If you guys missed anything else that we have done over the last couple of weeks, the Raw reviews, the Smackdown reviews, the Clash of Champions reviews, all the reviews in the world, I'll have the links in the annotations up above. Also, a couple of additions to the Sledgehammer series available now. If you'd like to see me lay the hammer down on a sketch pad with my pencils, drawing some of the my most favorite professional wrestling figures and more, the Sledgehammer series is now live. And if you want to follow my Inktober adventure, follow me over on the Instagram right now, where we are already at day number 12, and you could check my collection out at the Instagram right now. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here. We will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.